Everybody keeps saying, "Did you get a haircut?" And I'm actually, my hair's so long, I'm just like slicking it back in the morning.
Okay, we're live. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here today. Our first, second week following the new budget cycle. So I know we talked last time around in the Finance Committee meeting of switching to a second week after the end of the month cycle to begin reviewing the previous month's finances. It seems to be working. We've established some new policies and procedures that I think are working very well. I know they're working a lot better for me, both in all the department heads getting all the receipting in and invoices, at a certain time. The finance team going through them, doing their approvals and getting them lined up. Myself having like a Thursday check-in where we go through each and every single one and dig a lot deeper. So we.
Did we just do some?
Yeah, just stopped getting loud. We're still in green lights, so I think
Perhaps
we're
they
still
just
in
shut off the income.
So Nate and team also, we've got the some of the nonprofits that have requested funding.
Speakers off.
Oh, okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
You can hear everything? It was easier before.
Some of the nonprofits have requested funding or approved for funding. You know, Nate and Ashley are working on getting a letter to them, sort of, let them know they're approved and that it's going out. And then another big piece is we've got a 99,000 or is it 50,000 for our lease abatement tax?
That's 92 and some change.
92 and some change that'll be coming next
Maybe
week.
92 or 98. I can double check and let
Which
you know.
one's this for?
This is for the main mall.
The Mill Mall.
Main-
yeah.
Main
Oh, Main
Mill
Coast
Mall.
Main Coast.
Oh, Main Coast
Sorry,
Mall.
Main Coast, sorry, Main
Okay.
Coast Mall, where, on, I think it was a 500,000 total, overtax essentially, and then, so that's, we're continuing to have the payments, but you'll see those in probably next week's warrant, which gets me to kind of my next piece, which is our water department's there. That's about a $70,000 lease. We are looking at that. I think we have a year contract extension to be there when they left Pump House Point, which is, a piece of an asset that we own that's obviously deteriorating. There's really good reasons why people shouldn't be there, but especially after the school, the not spending money on lease, but a capital asset, especially one that we already own, I think it really could make some sense to try to rehab that building so that we're not, spending money on lease, especially at that level. And there's already a concrete pad at the highway department. We may be able to build a very cheap kind of garage for the water trucks, but also potentially the new vac truck and some of the other equipment that has been approved in budget cycles and could be approved in future capital cycles. So we're putting together the numbers to kind of maybe have some conversations on that as we look to bond for additional capital projects later this fall, which is kind of my big focus from a finance perspective, right now, is to get all our ducks in a row on a one-year infrastructure plan, especially that was outside of the tax and the tax cycle that we just went through, but also looking towards 5-year and 10-year plans, so that we can kind of know where our things stand. We had 2 water main breaks this week. We know that our infrastructure really needs help. I think I was out there last night. The guys do an incredible job on a valve that's from the 1940s. That's those, we have a lot, and we have a lot of those, and we have a lot of aging infrastructure that needs addressing. Need a pretty big plan to make sure that it's addressed and prioritized and funded properly. So we're trying to get that lined up as Nate and team finish the reconciliation and get us into a good financial kind of picture, so we can kind of know where we're at and go to the next steps, so that some of their bandwidth can come off reconciliation and current cash analysis and policies and procedures, which they've been gung-ho about, and probably switch to how we pull together Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, Inflation Reduction Act, Maine DOT, the myriad of federal funding mechanisms. I actually had a really good conversation with the Bucksport town manager this week, which was more about finance, which was great. Our team was there together, and she's going to continue to help us kind of do that sort of close is not good enough school of Maine budgeting, which we're really excited about. But she also has some great, infrastructure ideas and planning, and I'm really looking forward to learning more from her on those fronts too. So those are the big things for me for the week. I just say stay tuned on the infrastructure piece. I think once we get our ducks in a row, we may even try and workshop something like that. I think it's larger than a finance committee meeting.
absolutely.
We really need to just say, as we're getting closer to this bonding cycle, as we're getting close to reconciled, coming back to the table and saying, hey, here's where we're at with our infrastructure and our big needs for the next year. Here's some initial planning on what we'd like to do, and getting feedback on that, and then looking towards like the September council meeting on any potential votes as we head into the bond cycle. So that's it for me, and I'll send it over to Nate. I have a ton of stuff on that.
I have a question. So the 2 water main leaks was one leak, and then was it the result of that leak that caused the next leak? Have they, I mean, it's in the same location, so you gotta assume, but I mean.
Yeah, this is a conversation I had with Mike, and they're doing an after-action report together on, best practices. There's some other things like our signage. We need some more signage out there. We don't have enough like road closed signs. We have so we had like work ahead, and then we had to cone it. So, but the team we're going to do an after action report there. The initial thing was, with the aging infrastructure, it's always hard to do kind of this was it. It could have been when they're flushing the fire hydrants, which is required. That can create some pressure on the system, and these like kind of back. They kind of explain it as like slapping water, and then it sends vibration back, and then it can hit, But, they're not always relative to that. One of the things with getting the newer vac truck is we'll be able to clean some of these systems more to maybe prevent that. So, yeah, I think, if without a real engineer, but the gut instinct is that there was some flushing of hydrants, and then there was an issue on one piece, and that might have created pressure on another. Fortunately for the second one is there's a loop system around the valve where which is the great thing about continue to loop these systems, so that they can basically, they were able to fix it and seal it off, but there may be future options when we're in these loop systems where you can just, basically, cut it off from that where it's at, and then keep the loop around it, and maybe with infrastructure this old, we kind of just look to repair that at a future date, as opposed to repairing it in progress, and because now there's orders for it at least until Saturday when they do their next set of testing to make sure that everything's going well. So that's kind of the initial read of what went wrong there, but fascinating. I mean,
But everyone has water now?
yes, but not.
There's a boil order.
But boil
Yeah,
order
that's fine.
and testing, and in both the areas where they covered over, as there could be some settling. So we have our team member who's on for the weekend is on it to make sure it doesn't settle too much where it could affect traffic flowing over those areas. So they're letting it settle. They're going to refill as necessary. They'll hot top it as soon as possible, and they're going to continue testing for those areas to let those folks know they're not on boil water. I think it was about 30 people, 30 houses on the first one, and less for the second one. I don't have it, but I know. So we're on it, and we'll be notifying them as soon as possible. So
Finding weak spots in the summer is a heck of a lot better than finding them in the winter. As bad as it is, it's still a better project this time of year.
yeah,
Well, night heat though.
Well,
Yeah.
right, I get it, but you know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean. You're
yeah,
not
I
dealing
do.
with frozen ground, and you're not dealing with unknowns and whatnot.
totally. And to me, it kind of made real a lot of the stuff that we talk about with that vac truck, and then to see like what they use as a vac truck now. It's this tiny little
machine.
little
right?
machine with this tiny
Yeah.
little hose, and they're going around there. And it's like, oh, if we had a real vac truck, this could have just like we're there. I mean, time saving and getting after it. The excavator's another thing we might want to start looking into. We're renting the bigger ones. This one was fine with the smaller one, but at some future point, going to the bigger excavator that we are not just renting on the cases basis, but using it. But that'll be part of our 1 and 5 year infrastructure plans. Other smaller things like the shovel with the teeth is what we're using, but that can kind of hit pipe. So maybe it might be better to get like the other big shovel that's just a flat one. So we dig with the teeth until we're kind of closer, and then switch to the flat so that we don't necessarily ruin pipe as much when we're digging through. So fascinating stuff.
Did they let you drive it or operate it?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. That's once we get things nice and settled around here. I'm hoping to get that's that. And I used to be a wilderness first responder, so I would love to get some EMS training at some point in the future.
Nice.
But I got enough on my plate before I do
I think so, yeah. You need to sleep.
Yeah.
This excavator that's rented doesn't have two buckets? It does?
Well, we were using our own. It was the smaller excavator.
Oh,
we
you didn't
used.
have the rent, okay.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's got a wrist twist on it. I don't hold me to that.
Yeah,
I
the,
think
um,
it comes
You're
with two
right.
buckets, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the rental probably does. The smaller one we just used from our in-house
Yeah, yeah,
had the
I'm with you.
had the
I'm with you.
teeth.
But that interchangeable bucket is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Well, here we go, same song and dance. So, we got the audit, which obviously it's wrapping up, it's getting close. We had RHR's team here, we had 3 people up here on Wednesday. Ashley and myself have sent a list of many journal entries to research and look up, and we've done our best and gave them a good amount of stuff up until yesterday, and I think the next, they're looking, according to all of them that I speak to, by next week or the week after, we should be finishing up on this audit. I know it's been talked about a lot, but we're getting there. We're getting near the finish line of 23, and our goal is obviously to start working on 24 then. My big thing right now is just obviously establishing those weekly routines. Obviously with the budget cycle past us is getting everyone, to a goal to where we're not in the situation where we're behind anymore. We have Leah in accounts payable. She's working with Deb. Obviously Ashley's helping them out a little bit, but Leah's been great, and obviously Deb's been here for a while. The two of them have been great on the accounts payable, accounts receivable, so Ashley can help out on bigger stuff. And like I said, the goal is obviously to establish those weekly routines, so when we reconcile each month, it's not, when we're talking with Sue Lassard this week is, we want to get to a point when we reconcile the monthly, it's not a big task, because, if we keep up with a weekly routine, which is what I used to do before, my old job is, it makes it so much easier. We're not spending a whole month reconciling. It shouldn't take that long at all. So that's obviously the goals that we're working on right now. And like I said, the audit should be done soon. The goal is to have Ashley and myself, we're trying to meet with teams, departments, and, see what's going on. It's best to kind of poke your ear in, see what's going on, what kind of grants they got out there, what do we have to look forward to. I know we met with the Public Works team about the High Street pump station, so just stuff like that. It's great to be aware of, so you know what's coming up. Like I said, I feel like when we first got here, when I first got here, it was, budget, which was great, and we did a great job, but now it's like, okay, let's see how the finance team can help the other departments, so that's the goal right now. I know Charlie mentioned something about the social services, sending a letter out, which Ashley actually created a letter, ran it by me. I believe it went out this week, or is about to go out soon.
It went out Tuesday.
Yeah, so there you go. So we already sent that letter out, so social services know what they are awarded and how to request the funds and when to request the funds, obviously to help our cash flows, try to push it out just a little bit. But yeah, that's what we had going on this week, and every week we're making progress.
I just know with the cash flow, I know we'll continue to monitor where we're at. We'll keep finance committee, especially as we go in the weeks ahead. Towards the tax cycle, I've had some conversations with Larry, hoping to get it done by the end of the month for his tax commit, which we'll talk more about maybe next meeting, and then typically middle of August is when bills would go out. We also have the tax club, which I think I might be trying to bring towards the next meeting, which would be potentially pegged towards our senior citizens who qualified for that tax abatement through or tax freeze, I guess you would call it, through the state, where they froze property taxes, I think, for those over 65. So those folks, they didn't get hit with last year's, 20% increase, and this year's, increase as well. So they'll essentially be, cumulative to them So we're trying to think of a potential tax club, which would give them essentially, I think the current thinking is maybe we'd do a 6-month reprieve on interest on payment, but we're looking for some options for potentially the August meeting, if council would want to consider, when we send out those tax bills, a notification to those who did receive the tax freeze, and if they need additional time to pay due to the increase. But also gaming out exactly what that would mean for cash flow and, if X amount of people, a lot of people have this included in their mortgage, so it's probably not going to be, I don't think it would be 100% of the people that were eligible for that previous program would even be in that bucket, but seeing how that would manage cash flow. Other big thing for cash flow, I think, is we got a 200 and some thousand this week for the homestead piece from the state. We're still waiting on close to $1 million from the DEP.
We're still waiting for that money.
Yeah, so I think we're on a kind of weekly update. Hey, how about that 900-something thousand?
Why is it?
It's a good question. So currently that's in Woodard and Kern has been doing the follow-up on that. Like with a lot of things, we're trying to bring that back into the finance department so we kind of control the direct contacts with the state on those things. Again, we'll hopefully maybe have a more full update for next week.
Charlie, can you speak up, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
Oh, those aren't on it. The speakers aren't on anymore.
No, I know.
Sorry. Megaphone.
Yeah. Oh, now, hey, we're back.
Is that better, Mark?
Should we start from the top? Let's start from the top. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I had to leave.
And that's it for me.
Oh. Well done, Mark. Does anyone else have anything? Anyone from the public? It's just you,
It's
Mark.
just you, Mark.
And Mark, I'm happy to talk, love to hear more about the old burial ground project if you got a second after this.
Yeah, I wanted to know if you wanted to take a walk over there.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
can show you what we're up against.
Yeah, I have a 9, but let's do it.
I'll have you back here by 9.
All right, love to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Steve, anything?
I just have one question about the journal entry research.
Yeah.
Are those something that was done, I'm sure, in this audit year, but is it something that was done in-house or by the CPA firm?
It was done in-house. So basically, I can just explain it really briefly. It's journal entries that they're just trying to make sure that they obviously tie to bank deposits, whatever. Was some of it credit card, it was actually that I put in as check or cash, kind of stuff like that. There's a whole spreadsheet of them, but that's kind of what.
Yeah, it's,
Just daily stuff. that
Daily
gets
stuff,
done.
daily
Okay.
stuff,
Yeah.
nothing
Nothing
done, well, obviously might have been wrong, but it wasn't anything on purpose, it was just,
I'm
just
I'm
checking to
certain.
checking to make sure obviously it ties up with bank deposits and stuff like
I
that.
just wondered if we were looking for
Yeah.
journal entries that was 500,000.
No,
or
you're
talking the
you're-
run-of-the-mill
you're
stuff.
You're talking
Okay.
$150 or 100.
Okay, thank you.
42.72,
Thank you.
yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's important too, because I think, and of course, I think it's in misfeasance versus malfeasance.
Exactly.
Which Matt explained to me is, I said malfeasance once. He's like, no. Malfeasance is there is intent to do, or take, whereas this is misfeasance, meaning.
Human error.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just.
I just didn't know what you were doing.
Human error, just they weren't logging it appropriately, they weren't categorizing it, which is really difficult, I think, for the team, every single journal. Okay, what does this tie out to? I think one of them, for example, was, at one point in time, they weren't paying the credit card bill on time, so now, but we didn't know that when you look back years ago, and you see like these random charges that come up at certain times from something in the bank area, and it's just, it has a code, and it's like, what in the, oh, this is an interest payment for a not paid credit card on time. That's what this is. Now we can find a similar thing that bleeds through the system, and we can journal entry over that as what we find. So, and the system is kind of, or there's, for water or wastewater, those accounts have, specifics, it's to pay this, but, it was not tying out appropriately. So, like, really intense work that the whole team's been doing. Also looking forward to having Zach on board, I think, in the near term, once this reconcile or audit finishes. I think Nate and I just talked about this yesterday. Like, we have a much clearer path of how we can bring this in-house and, and have the whole team Ashley, Nate, Deb, you know, the whole gang just laser focused on getting 24 done so that we can package up all the materials needed for the audit for that and then focus on 25, which we're currently in. But also it was good to talk to the Bucksport town manager on just some of the policies and procedures that this team has already implemented so that, you know, once we get to FY25, we're going to know, you know, even a portion of 24 will be much more knowable because this is the team that has been doing that. So right now, I think part of the problem is you're going back in time to people that aren't even here anymore and trying to figure out the way that things weren't done correctly and then journal them correctly. So there will be a time where it's start going a lot faster. And then never getting unreconciled again. So
We're getting a plaque.
we're getting a plaque.
We're getting a plaque.
We have one of the plaques from
2014?
2014, I think one of yours for the finance of the year.
There should be two, is there two of them?
I think there's a couple, yeah.
yeah.
I grabbed one and
Yeah.
I put a sticky note over it and said,
2025.
2025. Question mark. So
So that's all I got right now, but we're getting a plaque.
I'm just glad to clarify that it's the
Yeah,
run-of-the-mill, easy stuff, not something.
Which kind of makes it harder, because obviously you're
Yeah.
looking
It's
at
harder work,
$100, yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
The outcome is better.
I'd rather
It's
be
easier-
off $500,000
it's easier when you're trying to find a
$52.
$125,000 payment as opposed to $127.
My favorite's when you find the dollar amount and then the change is like, you're looking for 20 cents, but it's like the dollar amount and then it's 80 cents. And you're like, it must be 20.
And I'm excited. I mean, it's initial. We're going to go back to Sue next month at post audit and kind of give her, hey, here's the plan. Here's here's where we're at. Getting some feedback. Hopefully, she'll say this is great. Move forward. As she says, like she comes from the school of close is not good enough, even if it's off by 6 pennies. There's got to be.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, that sounds like Tammy's kind of.
So I think I think we're on the right track. We're going to have her kind of help us with that. I also think there might be once we get there, we're going to know what this big pile of work is to continue that, and hopefully be able to time estimate for the public so we can let them know when we're going to be reconciled.
Mhm.
So exciting stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like being reconciled.
Such a great feeling, isn't
It
it?
is.
There's a lot of great feelings about the finance, but quickly, I just want to say that when I first got here, the finance meeting was only the finance director, and now to have everybody coming and hearing and moving, and I don't know how long that will be, but I love it, because, in a 1 hour's time, your whole department hears everything that is going on. I think that's important.
I like it.
Yeah, I think the last council meeting also had a bit of that flavor. It felt like a good interaction between staff and others, and lots of expertise. I mean, this is a big collective brain we have here working on these things. So bringing in the right people at the right time during these meetings and getting you all what you need to know, I think is important. So
Agreed.
great.
Sounds good.
Right.
Everybody's signed. You signed?
Yep.
Okay, I just need Charlie's signature on it.